James's heart pounded in his chest as he watched Linda walk towards him. Her long chestnut hair danced in the wind, and she carried herself with an air of confidence that was both captivating and intimidating. As she drew closer, he could see the glint in her eyes, a spark that spoke of passion and adventure. He felt like he was in the presence of greatness, like she was a goddess descended from the heavens to grace his humble existence. "Hello, Linda," he managed to choke out, his voice barely above a whisper. She stopped in front of him, a mischievous grin spreading across her lips. "Hello, James," she replied, her voice like silk. "Ready for our adventure?" His heart leapt into his throat. "Yes," he said, his voice stronger this time. "I'm ready." Without another word, she took his hand and led him down a winding path through the forest. The leaves crunched beneath their feet, and the sound of birds chirping filled the air. As they walked, James felt a sense of peace wash over him, a feeling he hadn't experienced in years. He knew that this was it. This was the moment he had been waiting for all his life. Linda stopped suddenly, pulling him to a halt. Before him lay a beautiful meadow, the grass swaying gently in the breeze. In the distance, he could see a mountain range, its snow-capped peaks glowing in the setting sun. He felt like he was in a dream, like this was all too good to be true. "This," she said, spreading her arms wide, "is where our journey begins." James looked around, taking in the beauty of their surroundings. He felt like they had stepped into a painting, one that captured the essence of nature at its finest. "What are we going to do here?" he asked, his voice filled with anticipation. Linda smiled mischievously again. "We're going to explore," she said, her voice full of excitement. "We're going to climb that mountain over there." She pointed to a snow-capped peak in the distance. "And we're going to swim in that lake over yonder." She gestured towards a crystal-clear body of water shimmering in the sunlight. James felt his heart racing. This was more than he could have ever hoped for. He looked at Linda, his eyes filled with wonder. She was everything he had ever wanted in a partner, brave, adventurous, and passionate. He knew that no matter what challenges they faced, they would always have each other's backs. They spent the next few hours exploring the meadow, climbing trees, and skipping stones across the lake. As the sun began to set, casting an orange glow across the sky, Linda took James by the hand and led him towards a clearing in the forest. There, beneath a canopy of stars, they shared their first kiss, sealing their bond with a promise to always be there for each other, no matter what life threw their way. The next day, they set out for the mountain. The climb was difficult, their bodies aching with each step upwards, but they were determined. They took turns leading and supporting one another, laughing and joking as they faced each new challenge. As they neared the summit, the view that unfolded before them left them breathless. The world spread out below them like a patchwork quilt, the colours of the landscape blending together in a symphony of green and blue. They stood there for what seemed like hours, arms wrapped around each other, marvelling at the beauty of their surroundings. It was at that moment that they both knew. They had found what they were looking for. They had found their purpose. The journey back down the mountain was just as arduous as the climb up, but it was also filled with an unspoken joy. They knew that no matter where their lives took them, they would always have this experience to look back on. They would always have each other. Time passed, and with it came new adventures. They travelled to far-off lands, explored ancient cities, and swam in warm, tropical seas. But no matter where they went, their love for each other only grew stronger. They built a life together, filled with laughter and tears, triumphs and disappointments. Through it all, they faced everything side by side, hand in hand. Linda and James never did find out why they were drawn to that particular meadow on that fateful day. Perhaps it didn't matter. Perhaps the universe simply wanted them to find each other, to share their love and their lives with the world. All they knew was that they were grateful for the chance to have been given such a gift. And so, they continued on their journey, always searching for new adventures and new ways to deepen their connection to one another, because love, after all, was the meaning of life, and they had found it in each other. The years passed, and they saw the world change around them. They watched as their children grew up, chasing their own dreams and finding their own paths. They witnessed the rise and fall of empires, the birth of new technologies, and the never-ending quest for knowledge and understanding. Through it all, their love remained constant, a beacon of hope and joy in an ever-changing world. As they grew older, they began to slow down, spending more time at home, tending to their garden and their memories. But even then, their love remained strong, a bond forged over decades of shared experiences and unwavering commitment to each other. They knew that they were lucky, blessed with a love that had defied time and distance and all the trials that life had thrown at them. On their 50th wedding anniversary, surrounded by family and friends, Linda and James looked back on their lives with a sense of wonder and gratitude. They had lived a full life, filled with joy and sorrow, laughter and tears. But through it all, they had each other, their unwavering love, the thread that connected their past to their present and their future. And so, they raised their glasses high, toasting to the love that had brought them together and kept them together for a lifetime. As the years went by, their children and grandchildren grew up and moved away, starting their own families and pursuing their dreams. But Linda and James remained close, their bond stronger than ever. They continued to explore the world, traveling to new places and revisiting old favorites. They shared their stories with each other, reliving their adventures as if they were young again. One day, as they sat together on their porch, watching the sunset over the mountains, Linda turned to James and said, "You know, I've been thinking. All these years, we've been searching for the meaning of life, but maybe, just maybe, we found it that day in the meadow." She smiled at him, her eyes glistening with tears. James took her hand in his, squeezing it gently. "Yes," he replied, his voice thick with emotion. "I think you're right. We found each other, and that's the meaning of my life." They sat there in silence, basking in the warmth of their love and the beauty of the world around them. And they knew that, no matter what the future held, they would always have each other, forever and always. Years later, as they lay in bed together, their bodies weak but their spirits strong, Linda whispered to James, "Do you remember that day in the meadow?" He smiled, his eyes twinkling. "How could I forget?" he replied. She squeezed his hand. "I was thinking," she said, her voice barely above a whisper, "maybe we should go back there, you know, one last time." He looked at her, his heart swelling with love and admiration. "I would like that," he said. "Very much." So, with the help of their children and grandchildren, they made the journey back to the meadow. It was much different now. The grass was overgrown, the trees had grown tall and strong. But as they stood there, hand in hand, they could still feel the magic of that day, the spark that had ignited their love so many years ago. "Do you remember what we said?" Linda asked, her voice trembling. James closed his eyes, trying to recall the memory. "We promised to always be there for each other," he said, "no matter what." She nodded, tears streaming down her face. "Yes," she said, "and we kept that promise." They stood there for a long time, lost in their thoughts and memories. And then, as the sun began to set, casting a warm glow across the landscape, they turned towards each other and smiled. Because even though their journey had been long and winding, filled with joy and sorrow, love had been the constant thread that had held them together through all the years and all the changes. And in that moment, they knew that they had truly found the meaning of life. As they made their way back home, hand in hand, they couldn't help but feel a sense of peace and contentment wash over them. They had lived a full life, filled with adventure and love, and they had no regrets. They knew that their legacy would live on through their children and grandchildren, and that their love story, as the generations before, would inspire the future generations to come. Years later, as they lay on their deathbeds, surrounded by their family, they looked at each other with a sense of awe and gratitude. They had been blessed with a love that had defied time and distance, a love that had only grown stronger with each passing year. And as they took their last breaths, they knew that they were leaving behind, not just a legacy of love, but a testament to the power of the human spirit to overcome any obstacle, to find joy in the simplest of moments, and to love with all their hearts. Their children and grandchildren gathered around their bedsides, holding hands and sharing memories of their parents and grandparents. They spoke of the many adventures they had shared, of the laughter and tears, of the endless love that had bound them together. And as they said their final goodbyes, they knew that they would carry the lessons of their parents' love with them for the rest of their lives. In the end, it was the simple things that mattered most: a shared smile, a kind word, a warm embrace. Love was not about grand gestures or extravagant displays of affection. It was about being there for each other, through the good times and the bad, through the joys and the sorrows. It was about finding joy in the simple moments that made life worth living. As their children and grandchildren gathered around them, they could feel the love that bound them together, a love that transcended time and space. They knew that the lessons of love their parents had taught them would stay with them forever, guiding them through the ups and downs of their own lives. And as the documentary continued, showcasing stories of love from all corners of the globe, from the young couple who met in a coffee shop and spent their lives traveling the world together, to the elderly couple who had been married for over 60 years, their love was a testament to the enduring power of human connection. One particular story stood out, that of a couple who had been separated by war. They had met in their early 20s, fell deeply in love, and had planned to spend the rest of their lives together. However, their plans were cut short when their country erupted into conflict, and they were forced to flee separately. For years, they searched for each other, their love sustaining them through the hardship and heartache of war. They wrote countless letters, hoping against hope that one day they would find each other again. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, they were reunited, both having miraculously survived the violence that had torn their world apart. As they held each other close, they realized that their love had only grown stronger in the time they had been apart. They had faced unimaginable challenges, but through it all, they had never lost sight of the love that bound them together. Their story became a symbol of hope for those who had lost loved ones in the conflict, a testament to the enduring power of love in even the darkest of times. The documentary continued to explore the many facets of love, from the passionate romance of young couples to the deep affection between lifelong friends. It showcased stories of love found in unexpected places, of love that transcended cultural and linguistic barriers, and of love that defied the odds. One such story was that of a couple who had been friends since childhood. They had grown up together, shared countless secrets and adventures, and had always been there for each other. As they grew older, their friendship deepened into something more, but neither dared to cross the line for fear of ruining what they already had. Years later, they found themselves single at the same time, and the attraction they had long denied could no longer be ignored. They took a chance on each other, and their love story was nothing short of magical. They supported each other through the ups and downs of life, shared their dreams and aspirations, and created a beautiful life together. Their love story was a testament to the power of friendship and the courage to take a leap of faith. They knew that they had found something special, something that would last a lifetime. They were each other's best friends, lovers, and partners in crime. They traveled the world, explored new cultures, and created memories that would last forever. As they grew older, their love only deepened. They supported each other through the ups and downs of life, always there to lend a listening ear or a comforting hug. Their children and grandchildren looked up to them, admiring the strength of their bond and the unwavering love they shared. The years passed, and they faced challenges that threatened to tear them apart. Illness, loss, and hardship tested their resolve, but they held on to each other, knowing that their love was the anchor that kept them grounded. Through it all, they learned the true meaning of love, not just the passion and romance, but the deep-seated connection that transcends time and circumstance. As they grew older, They continued to inspire those around them with their enduring love. Their children and grandchildren looked up to them, emulating their commitment and dedication to one another. Their story became a beacon of hope, a reminder that love can conquer all, even in the face of adversity. The documentary viewers were then brought back to James and Linda. The narrator started to remind the audience. The world around them seemed to pause as James and Linda locked eyes for the first time. Their hearts raced, their palms sweat, and time itself seemed to slow down. It was as if the universe had conspired to bring them together, two souls destined to share a love story that would span the ages. They stood there, transfixed by each other's gaze, unsure of what the future held but certain of one thing. Their lives would never be the same again. As they stepped forward, hand in hand, they felt an invisible force pulling them towards each other, a gravitational pull that couldn't be resisted. Their first kiss was like a bolt of lightning, electric and intense, sending shockwaves through their bodies and souls. From that moment on, they were inseparable, living and breathing for each other, their love story unfolding like a beautiful, intricate tapestry. Years passed, and their love only deepened, weathering the storms of life with grace and resilience. They built a life together, filled with laughter and tears, triumphs and disappointments. They traveled the world, exploring new cultures and experiencing life's many joys and challenges side by side. Their love story became a beacon of hope for those who had given up on love, a testament to the power of human connection in an often cold and cruel world. As they grew older, their love story continued to inspire those around them, their children and grandchildren looking up to them with admiration and awe. They had lived a full life, filled with adventure and love, and their legacy would live on through the generations to come. In the end, it was their love that defined them, that gave their lives meaning and purpose. And so, as they lay side by side, hand in hand, their hearts still beating as one, they knew that they had truly found the meaning of life. Love. The documentary continued, showcasing other love stories from around the world, some tragic, some heartwarming, but all testifying to the power of love. There was the young couple who had met in a war-torn country, their love blossoming amidst the rubble and destruction. There was the elderly couple who had been married for over 60 years, their love still as strong as the day they had exchanged vows. And there was the couple who had found each other after years of searching, their love a beacon of hope in the darkness. Throughout the documentary, a common theme emerged, that love was not just a feeling, but an action. It is the daily choices we make to put our loved ones first, to support them through the good times and the bad. It was the sacrifices we make for each other, the compromises we make to build a life together. And it was the moments of joy and laughter that reminded us why we had chosen to share our lives with another. As the credits rolled, viewers around the world were left with a sense of awe and wonder at the power of love. They had seen how love could transcend time and space, how it could overcome even the greatest of obstacles, and they had been reminded that, at the end of the day, it was love that made life worth living. Because without love, there would be no joy, no happiness, and no reason to keep going. And so, they walked away from the documentary with a newfound appreciation for the love in their own lives, and a renewed commitment to cherish it always. In the years that followed, the world continued to spin on its axis, and love continued to touch the lives of countless individuals. There were new love stories, old love stories, and love stories that defied all odds. There were love stories that began in the most unexpected places, love stories that were born out of tragedy, and love stories that showed the transformative power of forgiveness. And through it all, one thing remained constant: the enduring power of love. As generations came and went, the stories of love evolved, reflecting the changing times and societal norms. There were love stories that challenged traditional gender roles, love stories that celebrated diverse cultures, and love stories that showed the beauty of imperfection. But no matter how love changed, it always remained the same. A force for good, a source of comfort, and of hope in an often dark world. And so, As the years pass and new technologies emerge, the world continues to spin on its axis. One thing remains constant: the power of love. It is the thread that weaves together the tapestry of human existence, the glue that holds us all together in times of trouble, and the light that guides us through the darkness. It is love that makes us who we are, and it is love that will continue to shape our future. Love is the meaning of life, and indeed, it is why we are all here. It would be great if you could like and subscribe to the channel, and also give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Have an enjoyable and enlightening time, and we hope to see you again.